Napoleon. Napoleon Bonaparte, as my friends start calling him. In fact, I joked around. If they didn't choose the name Luca, their second choice of name would have been Napoleon. And speaking of Luca, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to him? He gets more views per minute than I do. But hey, I'm not being sponsored by him. Well, yeah, go subscribe to him anyway. And so began the Napoleonic Wars. Last we left off, Robespierre was guillotined. Napoleon did a coup in a coup. But let's reverse all that. And let's talk about this guy for a second. Napoleon was born in Corsica. Just in time for him to be born French. Because a year before he was born, the French bought the island. Ding, 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 ding. And so, of course, everyone was pretty mad. Napoleon's father, however, was all like, hey, bonjour, and supported the French. Napoleon, however, was at first out with the French, but later his parents basically sent him to Paris so that he'd go into military school. And there his feelings on the French actually softened. And then after he graduated from school with honors, he got the rank of second lieutenant. Now, second lieutenant might sound great to a screw-up like you. However, he had something called ambition. Stalks of it. However, he tried to. And then, well, a guy named Simeon took the job because his father was the Marquis of Lafayette. What? And then, well, revolution! Bastille toppling. Guillotining of the king. Guillotining of Robespierre before he guillotined anyone else. And Napoleon flew up the ranks. And by the way, he was only 28. So maybe get away from so maybe start living independently now. Which he was already doing. And then finally, he got the title of general and was given his very own little army. And he was allowed to use it because they were just about to go east. Now, this is how it was supposed to. There were two other generals in the north of where they were supposed to go to in the east, and they were supposed to be the main show. However, Napoleon's army was supposed to be a little diversion, but he turned this into the main show. While the armies on the top were being on a standstill, Napoleon was winning. And he basically single-handedly kicked Austria out of the war, or as I like to say, fireballed them out of the war. And then, finally, he did a coup. And then Napoleon did a coup in a coup. But the coup was all like, what the heck is going on? What the heck is going on? What the heck is going on? It was basically, these guys had no idea what was going on. Napoleon's army had no idea what was going on, and Napoleon himself had no idea what was going on, which is bad. And then his brother came on and then brought order. And then he and some other guy got power. But then he rewrote the constitution, and that's the coup in the coup. And he became consul for life, the first consul for life. When he decided that wasn't enough, after he made the whole map look like this, he basically was like, you know what? I am the emperor. And he placed the crown on himself during his annunciation ceremony, just to show the Pope that this wasn't some Charlemagne power division. Now, back to the war. The war of the First Coalition was kinda terrible until Napoleon came in. It was like how Miss Marvel described Captain Marvel in the Battle of Earth, and he was great. He basically wiped them all out single-handedly 3 times with just 3 key reasons. 1. He had the respect of his men because he also fought alongside them, not as a general should, but as a soldier, like commoner soldier. In one battle, he basically covered himself with men, aimed the cannons himself, and got the total respect of his men, that when he ordered a suicidal charge across the only bridge in town, they went for it. And so basically, the first reason why he was winning, it was because he was one of the boys. The second reason, he also could surprise attack his enemy before they knew what was going on. Boo! Boom! See? But he also had one more major feature. Speed. While other armies would basically take their supply trains with them, he and his army would live off the land without the need of those heavy supply trains. And he even had advanced artillery tactics. And suddenly one day, he made a big mistake. He invaded his good old friend Russia. And it was winter. He got kicked back and only got like over the 500,000 men that went in there, only 100,000 something came back. And the rest were either dead, frozen, or captured. Napoleon was weakened, and everyone else knew it, so they formed the coalition again, and they went storming in. This time even his old buddies, Sweden and Norway and Denmark, joined in. Kingdom of Spain went here, Naples went here, and literally everyone was fighting, even the Russians. Everyone in Europe was basically against him. Napoleon, however, could not do anything, because when these guys attacked and when these guys attacked and Napoleon went ahead to counterforces, these guys would charge in. And when Napoleon went through them just so he could outflank them on the behind, a treacherous politician in Paris basically said, "Come on in!" And he did. Napoleon was defeated. He was sent to an island in Italy called Elba and was given the title Emperor of Elba. The Confederation must have been really laughing hard when they've made this title. And Napoleon drastically improved the state of the island. However, he was sad. He was once the biggest man on earth, but now he was standing on a little island away from nowhere and not that isolated at all. And he heard rumors of plans that would send him somewhere even more isolated. His replacements? King Louis XVIII. Yeah, the Louis are back. King Louis XVI's brother. But he was like, screw this, said goodbye, came back. This guy ordered all of his soldiers to arrest Napoleon. Napoleon had 1,000 men. He had hundreds of thousands. But unfortunately, all those hundreds of thousands of men were Napoleon's old army. And so they all defected to him. This guy had literally no army left. He fled to Belgium. And so he's all like, Napoleon's back, baby! And everyone was all like, you know what? Let's form another coalition. You, and you, all against not France, but Napoleon. And when you figure it out that everyone is declaring war on only you, that means you know you've been a really naughty boy. Whee! And the Battle of Waterloo began. And Napoleon lost. Because the British held out long enough for the rest of the army to encircle them. And then Napoleon was sent to St. Helena, where he would live the rest of his days. He tried to drink the poison that he always hung around his neck during Russia, but it expired. It was also said that he died of cancer. Stomach cancer. However, he might have just been poisoned because the wallpapers around him were green, and back then green was made of radioactive stuff. And Napoleon did the last battle here, and it's arguably the only battle that was not worth winning, because it's the battle of his legacy. He wrote memoirs that detailed all of his stories, his adventures, like how Tsar Alexander did, and Peter the Great. And you just have to admit, and I'm going to use a Hypixel Bitwars analogy here, he was the master of Europe. If Europe was basically Hypixel Bitwars, he was Technoblade, a guy with so many victories until he lost. Even he was not invincible to losing. Also, he was close to 2,000 wins streak. And Napoleon's legacy still reigns today. And you've got to admit, the general is great. He was arguably the best general in the world. He was even greater than Alexander the Great. And that's all I've got to say. And so until next time you hear Napoleon, think of this story. How hard he worked up. What he believed in. But there's still this one question. Was he a ruthless dictator trying to strip away everyone from Europe so that everything in Europe would be France? Or was he a person just protecting himself from people from Europe, hell-bent on taking away his powers? We would never know. But he is arguably the best military leader of all time. And to reiterate, he was definitely average height for a time. Bum 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 bum